Denise. I do all of the school outreach for Chittenden Solid Waste District, and I am joined by my wing lady tonight, Beth Parent. Do you want to introduce yourself, Beth?
Hi, thanks. I'm Beth, as Rhonda said, and I'm on Rhonda's team, and I am excited to see this presentation.
Fantastic. So just to give you guys a little background of how this is going to work, at the bottom of your screen, you will see a Q&A button. If along the time of this presentation, we're going to have a few slides, skip through them, a couple of videos in there. Then if you have a question or even a comment, feel free to throw it in the Q&A. Because this is only a 30-minute webinar, we're going to wait right to the end to kind of address the questions, unless they are pertaining to a particular slide. And then Beth will reel me in, and then we'll answer the questions along the way. But so all the questions will be recorded too. So if we don't have time to get to all of the questions, I do get a report at the end, and we'll definitely get in touch with you personally about any questions that went unanswered. I think that's probably it. So we got a few slides. We'll kick start it. So Chittenden Solid Waste District is pretty much, we try to find fun and fantastical things to do with all the stuff that you guys or we in Chittenden County no longer want or need, whether we work, play, or live here. We have to manage it. So CSWD has to find something to do with it. We don't always have great things to do with our stuff. Sometimes they do have to go to the landfill. But tonight, guys, we are focused on 3 things that we do have fun and fantastical things to do with. So without further ado, let us get started here and go. Fantabulous. So just so you can see, this is Beth and myself, and our contact information, or at least mine, will be at the end. And Beth's pretty easy to track down as well. So here we go. We are into batteries, bulbs, and building supplies. But first up, what is special recycling? You guys did an awesome job answering this question when you guys registered. So it's basically things that can be recycled, just not in your blue bin. Sometimes these things are actually banned from the landfill, and often you'll find that sometimes some of the special recycling materials are what we call product stewardship, meaning that the manufacturers of those products have to pay to ensure that there's a recycling program in our state. The batteries and the bulbs, fluorescent bulbs at least, are under those categories, not the building supplies so much. So, but they are both product stewardship programs. At all of our drop-off centers, except for Burlington, we do accept special recycling of, I think that's actually all the same. So let's check that out for a hot second here. So this is some of our special recycling that we accept at our drop-off centers. Again, at all of them except for Burlington. And if you've ever visited our drop-off centers, you probably have seen these categories laying around. Or the environmental depot. Sorry, the paint is the environmental depot. So you'd have to bring your paint there, not a drop-off center. My apologies about that. There's also special recycling outside of CSWD, like tennis balls and flip-floppy plastic. And next week, Robin will be doing a webinar at the same time, 6 p.m. next Tuesday, on plastic film or plastic bags. So you will be getting a follow-up email from me in 2 days, and that will it'll have a link to sign up for that webinar too. But you can find it on our webinars page in the calendar. You can sign up for that and learn what happens to your flip-floppy plastic and where can you bring it. But tonight, guys, we are focusing our attention on 3 different materials: batteries, bulbs, and building supplies. Really, it's just because they all began with B. But batteries and bulbs are definitely super exciting to me personally, because I am a chemist by training. So that's very fascinating to me. The building supplies, really just to let you guys know that there are recycling options for some building materials. All right, let's kick started into batteries. So our future is appearing to be built on batteries. Definitely when I was a kid, getting a battery operated car was pretty magical. And these days it's like batteries are everywhere. So I challenge you to kind of go through your house this evening and kind of pick out everything that's run off of a battery. I think you might be surprised at just how many battery operated things are in your house. I know I was. As things go wireless and we have the growth of all of the internet things and such, we are more and more dependent on batteries. They are a key part of the solution for expanding renewable energy and addressing climate change. Electric cars are definitely becoming more and more popular. And as cool as recycling is, and that's what we are going to focus on tonight, I do want to remind you that reducing and reusing are always going to be better options for a more sustainable world than recycling will ever be. So always keep in mind that all of the stuff, including batteries and light bulbs, all come from natural resources like this lithium mine in Washington State for our batteries. We have a lot of different kinds of batteries, so it can get confusing on like, what can we do? But the cool thing about Vermont is that we are actually the only state in the United States that I know of that actually offer recycling for all types of batteries at no charge. Again, this is because it is a product stewardship program and it's funded by the manufacturers. So that means all your rechargeable batteries, whether they are lithium ion, nickel cadmium, there's a lot of chemistries out there, or even your primary ones like your alkaline batteries, some of the coin cells, the button cells, all those batteries. So all of them are recyclable at varying spots too throughout Vermont. Here in Chittenden County, under CSWD, you can bring them to any of our drop-off centers except for Burlington. Or if you want to make an appointment at the Environmental Depot, you can bring your batteries there as well. We use a nonprofit organization called Call to Recycle. Even all of the batteries that are collected at our drop-off centers and the Environmental Depot actually go to Call to Recycle, and then they send it out. You get to bring your batteries in all mixed together. What happens is they get dropped off at the drop-off center or our collection site, and then we get to sort through them and figure out which ones are rechargeable, which ones are single use, which ones are lithium, and so on and so forth. So we sort them all out and then we send them to Call to Recycle. Before the pandemic, Vermont actually ranked #1 in the US per capita for battery recycling. So we were rolling strong. I got in touch with, or I tried to get in touch with Call to Recycle to get updated numbers on that. And I haven't heard back from them, but I think they're probably, being a nonprofit, probably pretty understaffed and overworked. So, but let's get back up to that top ranking because I know that we can do it. We're small, but we are sturdy and persistent. 98% of all Vermonters live within 10 miles of a collection site. And again, our drop-off centers and the Environmental Depot are not the only place. If you check out the Call to Recycle website, which you will be receiving a link to in your follow-up email on the resource page that I send you a link to. You can go in, type in anywhere you'd like, type in your zip code, and voila. So I typed in Williston because that's where I live, and 17 spots popped up. So you can see that some of them are, our drop-off centers, but also there are a lot of retail outlets too that actually recycle or collect them to be recycled. Now, the cool thing I love about batteries, like this is one of the things I teach a lot of kids, but one of the cool things to learn is that our batteries, almost the entire battery gets recycled. And again, keep in mind, it is important because all of those batteries actually come from natural resources. And you will hear me repeat this often throughout our time together tonight that reducing and reusing, always more important. The chemistry in batteries have changed. The technology has changed a lot, especially in the rechargeable, like single-use rechargeable batteries. They last longer. The chemistry is better. They have better charge to them. So if you have tried rechargeable batteries in the past and are like, these things they don't work, which is what I have done because they didn't charge very long or stay charged very long. That has changed. So I challenge you to give them another chance. But now we're going to take a little journey down battery lane. So this is a call to recycle video about how batteries are recycled and what they're recycled into. So put on it.
Did you know you can recycle your rechargeable batteries and in some areas your single-use batteries? Recycling helps to divert batteries from our landfills and save valuable resources by giving batteries a new life. With Call to Recycle, batteries never die. Call to Recycle collects and recycles over 11 million pounds of batteries each year. That's the weight of over 1,000 elephants. You can drop off used batteries to any of the tens of thousands of public collection sites across the USA and Canada. Call to Recycle's contracted sorting facilities separate the batteries by type and chemistry. There are two common types of consumer batteries, single-use and rechargeable. Each type is sent to corresponding facilities for processing. For example, in rechargeable battery recycling, batteries can be fed by conveyor belt into an automated crusher to separate usable chemicals and metals, then melted down at high temperatures in a huge furnace. Molten metal is deposited into large and small molds called pigs and hogs. Recovered metals include cobalt, lead, nickel, iron, cadmium, and zinc. The metals are used to make a variety of stainless steel products, new batteries, cement additives, rubber, paint, ceramic, and so much more. Battery recycling is not just what we do, it's our mission. Visit calltorecycle.org to find a location near you.
Pretty cool stuff. One of the cool things about batteries that I just want to make sure I was not muted anymore, that they get recycled into the zinc in like alkaline batteries actually gets recycled into sometimes into sunscreen, which is cool. And the manganese in that battery gets recycled into fertilizer. So that's not all the time, but that is some of the recycling things that they didn't mention that I find pretty cool. So this is just a slide about lead acid batteries. We often think of just the ones that we're putting in our electronics, but not the ones in our cars, or in some of our cars anyway. So lead acid batteries, the whole thing gets recycled, and that for us, actually, when you bring them to CSWD, they actually get recycled locally. So we use a local company to do that. So that's kind of cool. Now, a few things to learn about, there we go, safety. So lithium and nickel cadmium batteries, so your rechargeables, it could be nickel metal hydride. So your non-alkaline batteries can be, I mean, there's some safety around it. So lithium ion batteries are flammable, and the nickel cadmium batteries are toxic to the environment. So it is imperative that you don't hang on to these for years. Maybe once a month, offload your batteries if you have enough. That's what I tend to do. I don't necessarily have enough a lot, but if I'm going to the drop-off center, I just take them with me. Even the alkaline batteries, as they break down, they can get corrosive and stuff because there is acid inside of them. So if you do find that you have a lithium battery like this one here, right here, and you see how it's like puffy in there, usually they're in cell phones, definitely put that in a plastic baggie and bring it as soon as you can to a drop-off center or to a collection location. I don't need you to panic or anything, but just saying that they can catch on fire. So when we sort through them, we actually use packing tape, and we tape all of the lithium batteries, both terminals on them, so that they don't go against cut against each other and catch on fire. Because although they might be drained, all the energy is not out of them by any chance. So you can tape your lithium batteries at home, but please just use packing tape. If it's easier, just put them all in a bag or in a little container, bring them, drop them into the battery collection bin, and we'll do the sorting and the taping for you. Oh, yeah. So if you've got like cell phones or larger damaged batteries, definitely put them in a Ziploc baggie just to keep you safe and everybody else safe. Lead acid batteries you can bring to the drop-off center, and there's a rack to put those on. And like I said, then we will sort through them and get those bad boys recycled. All right. So any pressing questions out there, Beth?
Not yet.
All right, fantastical. So that's pretty much the bit on batteries. Now, light bulbs. All right, so this is a fascinating topic for me as well. A lot of different kinds of light bulbs out there, like batteries. So you got your Thomas Edison incandescent bulbs and your kind of newish to the market LED bulbs. Both of those bulb types are not recyclable currently. So you can put your incandescent Thomas Edison bulbs in the trash, as well as your LEDs. Typically, they will say something like around the base if they are LED or even mercury containing. What we want and what gets recycled, and again, this is another product stewardship program, is the mercury containing bulbs. So there are different types of bulbs. You'll hear them called lamps as well. So fluorescent lamps, that can be your little curly Q ones or your long tubes, U-shaped, circle-y shape. They come in all sorts of shape. And your high intensity discharge bulbs, both of those can be brought to any of our drop-off centers except for Burlington. And then we will ship them off to be recycled. The following bulbs, so the tanning bulbs, radiation tubes, neon bulbs, so your neon signs or whatever, projector and audio bulbs, and mercury xenon auto bulbs, all of those actually have to go to the environmental depot. So you would have to make an appointment with the environmental depot, with our environmental depot, and bring them in here and there. So we won't accept those at the drop-off centers, but they are still recyclable. They just have to be handled a little differently than the fluorescent and the HID bulbs. So they come in many varieties. If you are uncertain, anybody at a drop-off center, anybody at the environmental depot is happy to help you, as is Becky on the hotline. So you can always call and ask what you need to do with your bulbs. If you're unsure what they're made out of, just bring us all your bulbs. We'll dispose of your incandescent and your LED bulbs in the trash as we're sorting through them. So have no fear. We're here to help you out. So the recycling process for the fluorescent lamps is very fascinating, because every bit of that light bulb will be recycled. Again, reducing and reusing is more important. So the LEDs are pretty awesome because they last longer. From my understanding, they use less energy too. So it's a whole lot of reducing going on there. But we have this program. So I think it's pretty awesome that we get to recycle every bit of those lamps, from the metal to the glass down to the phosphor powder and the mercury that's in there, all get recycled. Last year, between our drop-off centers and our environmental depot, we were able to recycle 40,000 pounds of light bulbs. And these light bulbs are sent to a company called Veolia. And we're going to watch a short little clip on how they get recycled, because this process is pretty cool.
Why don't you walk us through the process? Explain what you do here.
Okay. After it comes to our facility, what we're doing is we set up our first stage is we do sorting. So what they're doing is they're taking the material out of packaging, sorting it so it goes to the proper machine for them to recycle. We have a CFL machine. They segregate our 4-foot, 8-foot, our U-bends, and what happens is it'll go on our machines behind me, goes through the wall. There's actually a series of machines where it takes it, pre-breakers, crushers. It'll take it back to the top side of our machine on what we call trommels. And what that does is it's extracting the white powder that you see in the lamp, and that'll fall down into a drum. On the back side, you are collecting our end caps and our the glass, and both of those items also are being recycled, along with the box that a lot of the packages are coming in.
What is that white powder that you're talking about?
That white phosphor powder contains the mercury, and in that phosphor powder, we have a machine that actually extracts that mercury from the powder, and we're taking that powder once that's done, and we're actually sending that out to reclaim the rare earth metals.
We can't beat that. This is a great service. Thanks so much for explaining to us.
So that's a pretty awesome sauce that they get to recycle their whole entire thing. So with buying, one thing I wanted to note too, or hit on, is that by switching to LEDs, now that doesn't mean just go through your house and take out your little curlicue or your fluorescent bulbs. I don't want you to do that. Use up what you've got, but try to start replacing those with the LEDs, because they are also less toxic. If you do break a mercury bulb, don't freak out. There's not a whole lot of mercury in it, but if you do break it, just walk away for 5 minutes, come back, sweep it up, put it into a plastic baggie, and then you can bring it again to any of the drop-off centers or the environmental depot, and we will ensure that it gets recycled. There's also Lamp Cycle, which is the nonprofit that does manage this stuff as well, or manages the lamps in Vermont. And so they also have drop-off spots too, and you'll have a link to that. Now, onto building supplies. This one's going to go pretty quickly, but there are a bunch of different building supplies that can be recycled. Now at CSWD, we accept a very few amount of these materials to be recycled. Myers Recycling, or C&D, or Construction and Demolition Recycling Center, actually accepts like everything that's on this list right here. So we'll break it out here. So CSWD at the Williston Drop-Off Center only will accept drywall, shingles, asphalt shingles, and plywood, and the oriented strand board. OSB is what it's called in terms. So as long as they are clean and unpainted materials. We also take window screens, which isn't a separate thing, but anytime somebody brings in a window screen, we actually save it. And then we send it to the environmental depot, where they actually reuse the screen to make local color. So I threw that in there just so if you're like, doing a little demolition, pull your screens to the side, and the operators at our drop-off centers will let you know where you can kind of stash those, so that we can reuse them to make some paint. So this is a list of what Myers Recycling Center accepts for their building supplies. This is a private company. I don't know what they charge, but I do know that they accept a large array. So I would give them a ringle jingle if you're doing, say, some big renovations and have a larger load of stuff. Then take it to them, and they will make sure that everything on their list gets recycled. All right, so that kind of sums up the 3 categories we're going to talk today. I want to leave you guys with a little action plan. All right, you can pick 1, 2, all 4 of them, or none of them, but I do encourage you to try to pick one of these to do as an action plan for being better planet protectors. So clean out the junk drawers, bring those batteries and gadgets containing batteries. Ask your library, town office, or hardware store to be a battery collection site. Tuttle Middle School, as a matter of fact, every year does battery roundup at their school, and we sort through, the students and I sort through the chemistries of the batteries, and we have a hoot nanny doing that. Last year they recycled or collected in 1 month almost 100 pounds of batteries. So that was kind of crazy. Bring your curlicues, U-shaped, all of your fluorescent bulbs to CSWD or the Environmental Depot, so they can be made into new bulbs, and you get to save some resources too. Or bring your old scrap drywall and plywood to the Williston Drop-Off Center or Myers Recycling for recycling.
Hey, Rhonda?
Yes.
We do have a question. Peter would like to know what are HID HIDs?
They're high intensity bulbs. It will say it clearly on the light bulb if you have an HID. Usually they are like the floodlights outside. That's usually where I've seen HID lights, is outside. like the floodlights outside, but read the bottom of your light bulb. It will say HID on it. And so those can come to the drop-off center for recycling. All right, so here's my contact information. Sorry, Beth. And our general CSWD social media website and our hotline phone number. And this can be all found also on our website. So I am going to stop sharing the screen so you can get my full-on view here. All right. Any other questions out there, like what you should be doing? Will anybody take any action plans? Anybody want to take on one of those action plans? I know that a lot of people were already recycling batteries, bulbs, somebody put in mattresses, so that's really awesome sauce. But this is just 3 of many categories of the special recycling. And like I said, next Tuesday evening at 6, Robin will be chatting about your plastic bags, and I call it foot floppy plastic, but because it gives beyond just bags that you can return to the grocery store for recycling and what that entails.
Hey, Rhonda, Dorothy would like to know what to do with batteries that have corroded.
Yeah, so I would definitely not try to touch those with your hands because that is like the acid coming out. So, just put on a glove or just use a plastic baggie. You can put them all in one plastic baggie, zip it shut, bring it to a drop-off center, and we'll sort through it and get it recycled for you. But yeah, you want to be careful with the acid. Yep.
Definitely. And John just wanted to thank you. And he's already spring cleaning. So here we go. It started. Spring's coming.
Hot diggity. So I hope you guys learned a little something out there. And again, I'm going to send you a follow-up email, which will have a link to this webinar in case you just couldn't get enough of us. And it will also have a resource list, which will have links to all of the different things about batteries, bulbs, and the building supplies, as well as links to the 2 little videos that we showed tonight. So you'll have plenty of things to like check out. And again, if you have any questions, you have my email. You'll get it again, and you can always reach out to us on our hotline. CSWD loves to answer questions. And thanks for joining us. And you guys have a spectacular evening.